Hello and welcome to the Coors Event Center. I am Matt Smith for 5280 Sports Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, Colorado knocked off the Washington Huskies tonight, 81-66. The Buffs have now won 4 out of their last 5 games, but the task was made a little bit easier tonight when just about an hour before game time, star freshman point guard for the Huskies, Markelle Fultz, was ruled out of this game with a sore right knee. So immediately, the task of slowing him down seemed to shift focus to guys like David Crisp and Noah Dickerson of this UW team, and the Buffaloes did a very good job tonight. They came out with a 15-point solid win over a team that they should have handled, and they did. Colorado shooting over 50% in both halves in this one. Like I said, they've won 4 out of their last 5, and they do have some momentum here. Now, of course, Markelle Fultz being out was a bit of a disappointment here to fans that came out to see him, of course, and after the game, Derek White said he was bummed out because he wanted a chance to get back at Fultz. Actually, this entire Buffaloes team this week in practice saying that they wanted to get back at this Washington team after they blew a 20-plus point lead on the road in Seattle earlier this season and ended up losing in overtime, I believe their first overtime game of the season, to the Huskies in Seattle. But tonight the script was flipped. Obviously, no Fultz, and the Buffs rolled. They were led in this one by George King, 21 points and 12 rebounds for King. He has done a very good job in the last 2 games as Colorado has been without Xavier Johnson and Wesley Gordon, 2 5-year guys in the program. Of course, they were suspended on last week's road trip for violating team rules and did not play against Cal on the road at Haas Pavilion and did not play here again tonight. They were on the end of the bench. Now, Tad Boyle after the game saying that they will return on Sunday against Washington State, but it was the second consecutive game that the Buffs were without their 2 real veteran leaders on this team, and they played very well. In fact, in their absence, it has allowed for other guys to really step up. Really, number one is Lucas Seward, who tonight had a career-high 12 points. He also had 6 rebounds in this one. The game is slowing down for Lucas, which is really good to see because he's a kid that at the beginning of the year, Tad Boyle was extremely high on, thought that he would play a very big factor on this team, and he's been playing pretty consistently, but really over the last 3 or 4 games, you can tell that the game's slowing down for Lucas. He's a consistent contributor on the offensive end, and speaking to Boyle in practice the last few days, actually I talked to him about it yesterday, I believe, and he said that specifically his ball screen defense is 100% better than it was, and I think he's just more confident now as a player. He's proved to himself that he can compete on this level, and he's been big for Colorado because without Wes Gordon in there, the Buffs don't have a ton of size. He, of course, 6'10" from Brazil as for a freshman, has been pretty good the last few games, and tonight really another step in his maturity as a basketball player. And we saw another one of the freshmen that really made an impact was Bryce Peters off the bench. Bryce, a little bit under the weather, I believe, but had 10 points off the bench. In fact, 6 Buffaloes were in double figures tonight for Colorado, which against this UW team that doesn't play a whole lot of defense, they played pretty much zone for 40 minutes of the game. And the key stat to this one, and the biggest note that I have to mention, is the Buffaloes had 48 points in the paint against a 3-2 zone, and Tad and this team prepared for a Husky zone for potentially 40 minutes in a game, and they got it for the most part. I spoke to Tad Boyle after the game about that, and he said that, you know, they switched out of the zone rather for a few possessions, but Colorado didn't settle for those long threes, didn't settle for jump shots, did a really nice job getting the ball in the painted area, forcing the issue. And again, Lucas Seward had a lot to do with that, of course. So did Torrey Miller, who matched his season high of points. Torrey had 11. Dom Collier on the defensive end, I would really like to mention Dom specifically. The Buffs had a team-high 10 steals in tonight's game, and Dom with 4 of them. He's really coming along as a defender, and in big minutes for Colorado, he and Derek White combined for 11 turnovers and just 1 assist. In fact, the team had 15 assists, 8 turnovers. Did I say 11 turnovers and 1 assist? I think I did. I meant 11 assists and just 1 turnover. The team with 15 assists and 8 turnovers, and they played very efficiently, facilitating for this Colorado offense, which is what Tad Boyle and this coaching staff has wanted to see. And the 2 of them playing side by side have really given Colorado some flow, some leadership, and some discipline on the floor. And it's good to see Dom taking those strides defensively. He did start last year, of course, and a little bit of a different situation this season as he was injured at the beginning of the year, missed 9 games, is clawing his way back into bigger minutes, and he's done a very nice job in the last few games as well. Of course, George King, 7 offensive rebounds of those 12 rebounds. He has spoken about the fact that he's made it more of an emphasis for himself to get to the offensive glass, to put more of the rebounding effort on his shoulders. In fact, at the post-game press conference, Tad Boyle said that George had some Andre Robertson type rebounds tonight, which is very high praise from Tad, but it's true. George going up, leaping, getting, high pointing the basketball off of rebounds, and being a factor for Colorado, especially without their 2 lead bigs in Wes Gordon and Xavier Johnson tonight. Derek White, 16 points on the night. He also had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, I believe. Colorado, like I said, they rotated in against this zone in their zone offense. They had George King and Derek White at the high post, getting it into them, playing the high-low with a guy who can actually facilitate, spreading the defense out, forcing the defense in that 3-2, especially to respect the guy at the high post, and doing really good things offensively tonight. Colorado's defense was solid tonight. Washington did shoot 42% from the field, but they held them to under, I believe, 33% from the 3-point line this evening. Notes here, and not too much bad from this game. They only out-rebounded UW by 1. Of course, they were without their 2 best rebounders. Well, best is a bit of a stretch, but 2, I would say, guys who lead the charge on a nightly basis on the glass in Wes Gordon and Xavier Johnson. They only out-rebound the Huskies by 135-34. That's something that when they get XJ and Wes back on Sunday against Washington State, they're definitely going to need to improve upon. They've got to attack the glass if they want to win that game, specifically with Josh Hawkinson coming into the Coors Event Center. And the other bad was injuries. Josh Fortune, who did not have a great game tonight, was taken back to the locker room, I believe, early in that second half. Tad Boyle after the game saying that he had a jaw injury. Now for Colorado, this was a game, of course, without Xavier Johnson, Wes Gordon, and Josh Fortune there for most of the second half, but also Deleon Brown, who Tad came out in the press conference and noted he has a concussion. He took a shot the other day in practice. Hopefully Del will be back on Sunday. Tad said if he can pass the concussion protocol. So really not too much bad. Hopefully Josh Fortune's all right as well. The good tonight, like I said, Xavier Johnson and Wesley Gordon, they're coming back. That lesson is learned, it's over, and hopefully this team can move on here moving forward. It was definitely a learning experience for these guys on this team, and it helped provide some of the younger guys some valuable minutes and experience that they wouldn't have gotten if those 2 guys were in the game, or had been playing the last 2. So, good and bad there. Of course, certainly not a situation you want to see from 2 5-year seniors. That's part of it. That's part of what you want to see moving forward. Of course, getting them back, having won 4 out of 5 now with a really nice stretch of games coming up as they have Washington State here at home on Sunday, then they go at Oregon State, and then they play at Oregon, who they beat in this building, and Oregon certainly going to want to give them one back. Actually, Oregon losing a big game tonight to UCLA on the road after leading by more than 15, I think, at one point in the first half. So Colorado's got to find a way to continue their momentum. Things that Tad Boyle said that he really learned over this stretch without XJ and Wes. He learned that the young guys have proved to themselves that they can compete in this conference, noting the comeback in the second half against Cal at Haas Pavilion, coming back from down 23, cutting it to 5. Tonight, I believe at like the 5-6 minute mark of that second half, UW had actually cut the once, I believe, 15, 18 point lead to 7, and then the Buffaloes stretched it back out and won by 15. It's a lot of experience for the freshmen, like we talked about. Lucas Seward coming along, Bryce Peters giving the Buffaloes big minutes, and defensively, I think more than anything, it is really proved to be true that defense and rebounding really wins games. The defensive effort has improved for this team the last few games. Specifically tonight, I liked what they did with their full court press. They used a lot of token 1-2-2 pressure to slow down the Huskies, but it was good to see that Colorado's full court pressure was, I think, better tonight than it's been in a while. They did force a 10-second call. That's something that they can take moving forward here as they end out the regular season and head to the Pac-12 Conference Tournament in Vegas. Not much else to talk about from this game. Of course, it was a it was obviously a little bit of a bummer not to see Markelle Fultz play tonight, because he's really a talented player. But the Buffaloes did a great job in this one. They did what they needed to do, which was win another game, get their momentum back after they dropped the one on the road to Cal, and now they get XJ and West back on Sunday, start to put together a little bit of momentum. And really the biggest opportunity left on the Colorado schedule is at Oregon next week. So if they can find a way to win on Sunday, they can find a way to beat Oregon State in Corvallis, which won't be an easy thing to do. Winning on the road in this conference is not easy, but if they can put themselves into a position where they're going to go in and compete with the Ducks in Eugene, they can take a lot from that moving forward into their final 3 games of the season, which are all at home against Utah, Cal, and Stanford. So some big opportunities for Colorado coming up. The Buffs are now tied for 7th place in the Pac-12. This is a team that was tied for last place just a few weeks ago. They're slowly climbing up there, so don't really sleep on the Buffs altogether just yet. They may have something coming here, potentially a run coming in the Pac-12 tournament, but we will see how it progresses on Sunday against Wazoo and Josh Hawkinson, a team who Colorado really needed to beat on the road in Pullman and could not get it done just a few weeks ago. I'm Matt Smith from the Coors Event Center for 5280 Sports Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, go online and follow our family of podcasts on Twitter. You can find us at 5280 Sportsnet. You can find me at Real Matt Smith. That's Matt with 1 T. And check out all of our exclusive coverage on 5280sportsnetwork.com.